Vámonos. Hey, everybody. How's it going, Ryan?
Doing good. How you doing, man?
We made it. I
How you
can't even
doing,
believe it.
man?
I
What you
can't
up to?
even. I'm great, man.
Good.
See,
You
we
look
put
great.
on there. We put on there 9 p.m. EST.
The EST stands for estimated, right?
It does, yes. It's estimated
That's what I
time.
thought. Judging by how we are
Clearly.
never exact on that.
Well, welcome everyone. It's Don't Muddle Monday. This is the show where we handle any challenges, issues, or thoughts, topics you might have. You can feel free to post them there in the chat. You can feel free to post them on our website. Princess put the links up above a little ways. But at bss.studio. You can also email us dww@bss.studio. Or you can find us on Discord. Ryan goes by Static P. I go by Joe A. CDVNL. Princess goes by Princess. And we've got numbers too. There they go.
There they are. Mine's
Look
easy.
at
It's
that.
4545. But yours is a bit weird. 7101
Yes. 6992.
and 6992.
Yeah.
Those are hard to remember. I got lucky.
But but you know what? Some people are really good at numbers. You know
That's true.
There are some people that would be able to remember those numbers way better than the names.
Mm.
You know that.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah. Well, producing the show is Jesse. I got a chair that rocks. That rocks, man.
Man, that chair rocks.
I know it does. It's a different chair than I usually have. I found it.
I've got a rocking chair too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does your rocking chair rock?
It plays the guitar every once in a while, but it needs some practice.
It does. You better
make that was a lie. All right. It does rock though. And it makes great sounds.
Squeaker. Yeah. Hey, cool.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
You bet. Nice.
All right, we're just gonna do this for the rest of the show.
That's perfect. You do that.
All right.
So yeah, well, welcome. As I was just saying, Jesse is our producer. Princess is our chat room hostess, and she also keeps us on track like a boss because she's amazing. And yeah, I'm Joe, and with me is Ryan. He's the star tonight.
Hey, welcome.
His owls are all discombobulated back there. They're like all twisted and turned in different directions, and it's like something happened back there behind you. I don't know what that was. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, at least one of them can be.
That's much better.
Yeah,
much better.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what they're having a conversation is all, and this guy just kind of talking to the moon or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Sometimes, but you know what? It's good to look up at the sky. Have you ever done that?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have a ceiling. But yes, the sky is a beautiful thing to watch, especially at night.
It is. Yes. Yes. I remember hearing a story about there was a past president who he had dignitaries from all over the world, and they were all getting together to talk, about all kinds of world affairs and stuff like that. You know? And they're like, okay, well, let's step outside for a minute. And they just stood outside in the nighttime under the stars, and they looked up at the stars. They looked up at the stars for a few minutes, and they just stood there silently looking at the stars. He said, all right, I think we got a good perspective on how big we are. Now we can go back in and talk about this stuff, because it's very humbling when you look at the universe and you see how big it is. You realize how small and insignificant we might seem, even with all of our lives. Our lives are so full of stuff. But even still, in the grand scale of the whole universe, it's like it seems like we're so tiny.
And I think that's a really awesome, smart move for the person who did that, because if you think about it, there could have been like anybody in that room who they didn't have to point fingers at, but instead they're just like, hey, let's all go outside and, just stare at the stars for a while and then be like, all right, now we got an idea of how big we are. Let's go back in. And then everyone's got that on their mind, right, when they go back into that. And I think that's a brilliant way to really just not have to call anybody out,
Yeah. It is a bit humbling. You realize, I've got all these things on my mind, but the world's still there. The universe is still there. It's still turning. Everything's still doing its thing.
Yep.
And maybe the problems I have aren't as big a deal as I thought they were.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things, everything's gonna still keep going.
And that's why we do Don't Worry Wednesday.
It is. It is. We want to help in any way we possibly can, because seriously, I mean, yeah, sometimes we get caught, in a problem. And, we are not professional therapists or psychologists or anything like that, but we want to be your friend. We want to help in any way we can, offer some love and perspective, and, just be your friend and love you along the way, because sometimes that's all it takes to help you figure out what's going on in your own head, is to just have someone encouraging you along the way. So anyway, that's the intro. Welcome.
Welcome.
What do you think? We got some topics.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, if any of you guys have anything you want to talk about, feel free to post it in the chat. We are heading toward our backlog of topics now, which is pretty fun. But yep, we've noticed a little bit of a slowdown in the posting of topics, and so now we're able to go back through and find some where we haven't had some people around for a while, and we can dig through and go through some of these. So anyway, but I will list off the 4 current topics we have. I think it's 4. Looks like 4. We've got Man Left Behind, Eric Bodine, Caffrey, and Mark Anthony. And if you just heard your name, feel free to post something in the chat to let us know you're here, and we will be happy to do your topic. Otherwise, we will go back and look up something from the past.
Something from the past.
Yes. Yes. I remember singing numbers in French.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Did he get it right?
À compter comme tous les élèves français. Français.
France.
You
French.
gotta say, yeah, that's French. And ours are like, so you gotta like, yeah, français. It's so weird. Like that's an interesting language, because a lot of times, a lot of them do the tongue flick, the,
yeah,
for their R's, but in France, it's like,
yeah. The weird thing about the is that it's not. The thing that bothers me about is that it's not precise, right? We do everything. I'm very lyrical, and I want to keep a beat, and I want everything to be within the confines of that. When you throw the isn't the same every single time,
right?
No matter, even if you grew up you doing the right, the is literally phlegm, and it can do anything. And it can go up and down, and your throat is going, vibrating, and it's not like to a tempo. It's like not to a tempo. And so that's the weird thing. But like, at least even a rolled R has a tempo, and you can change it based on how much pressure you're putting in or how close you put your tongue to your roof of your mouth. But with a, it's just like random just thrown in there. I don't know. It only bothers me on that kind of lyrical tempo type thing. Other than that, I think it's actually a really cool sound that they throw in there.
There, I have heard some songs in French, and they do a very good job.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's one that actually Papa Ute, that I think it was who's the one group? Pentatonics.
Oh, okay. Pentatonics. Yes, there's T's in there.
Yeah, I usually say pentatonics, and then Ryan's like,
yeah, how are you going to pronounce one of the T's if not both?
PNNA.
Yeah, penna. Who you penna try?
But anyway, yeah, that was good, and they did a really good job with their R's. They didn't have too much inconsistency there for you, Ryan. I think you'd enjoy it.
There's a French song, which I think is called Via Con Me. Yeah, it's called Via Con Me, and I really like it. It plays in the movie. What's the name of that movie? French Kiss. It's a classic. My mom loves that movie. But yeah, there's this swing. It's a swing song and it's French and it's actually really good. It's one of my top songs.
Cool.
But yeah, it's a good one. They sing about chips. Chips.
I like chips.
Zap zadooby dooby shaboom shaboom boom. Zap zadooby dooby shaboom shaboom boom. Zap zadooby doop 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 doop. Via con me. French stuff. Who knows what they're saying? No one,
Chips.
not even the French. Anyways, so yeah, let's do a topic, eh?
Yeah, let's do that. We've got a recommendation on our random list of topics here, and this one actually comes from Nathan. It's called help the feeling of being wronged. This looks like a good topic. So if you guys have anything, feel free to post it. And we will be doing this one from Nathan. So yes. And there it is in the chat. You can click the link and go there and read along. And I think Princess is going to read it for us because she's amazing.
What do you do when both of your friends think that the other has wronged them, but you don't want them to continue being mad at each other? From Nathan.
That's an interesting question. So I'm guessing, so here we have a scenario where you've got two friends. Both of them feel like the other one has, done something to hurt them. Right? But you don't want them to be mad at each other still. You want them to make peace and be friends and everything like that, right? So what do you do with that? Can you act as an intermediary and not get, your head bitten off and all that kind of stuff? I mean, do you have any experience with this type of situation, Ryan?
Oh, definitely.
All right. Well, I'd be very interested to hear what you had to say.
Sure. Yeah, I remember dealing with this quite a bit. I mean, I had friends. I think I was easy to make friends with. And I also made friends with the people that didn't have any friends pretty easy because that's the kind of personality I was. I was the guy who was the friend of the people that couldn't make friends. So I had to encounter this a few times. But it's not like they were bad people. They just didn't know how to make friends, and I just happened to be easy to get along with. That's all. But sometimes someone does something, and the other one sees it as wrong to them, and they see it wrong back, and all this kind of stuff, right? I think we've all encountered this before. We've got two friends who are mad at each other, and we're kind of stuck in between. We're like, how do I help this? Neither of them will give in. Both of them are like the victims, they think. Even if neither of them are, or really truthfully, one of them is, but the other one just doesn't want to. Yeah. So in this scenario, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll try to, I think one of the best things I can do is if I'm already caught up in it, there's no harm in me asking questions, right? So I'll ask them to help them get it off their chest. So first I'll go like, okay, tell me what happened. What can you, like, just one-on-one with one of them, not like they're both there and then I take one aside, but no, like literally just one-on-one. So what I'll do is if it's in a chat, like it's online, it's easy to just do a one-on-one, right? If it's out like in real life, like physical people, I'll find time with one. Even if it's that same day or whatever, just at any point in time where I'm just with one of them. And I'll ask him just like, hey, so what happened there? What's going on? Why are you mad at each other? What happened? And then after asking them that, I'll ask them like, okay, why do you think they're mad at you? Like, what happened? And usually they'll be like, I don't know. I didn't do anything wrong. Right? I don't know. I'll be like, okay,
classic.
Yeah. I'll just be like, okay, well, there's got to be like, they're not stupid. Like, there's got to be a reason, right? Like, what do you think they think? What do you think they think, happened? And they'll think about it and they're like, I don't know. Usually they don't know. And that's the problem. And so And then maybe if I have a clue, I'll be like, well, I wonder if it's because they think you did this, or maybe they're misunderstanding this scenario, and I'll talk about it to them. And I don't expect any results. Okay. I am only trying to, I'm not expecting the person to go, oh, that's why I should, I don't expect that. What I expect is to open their mind and help get things off their chest. Then I go to the other one and do the same exact thing. All right. And that's step one, right? Basically just to help them let some steam off, not on each other, because that's not going to do any good. Right. Because they're not trying to come to terms with each other. They're both being blunt, or sorry, not blunt. What's the word? Stubborn and not listening to each other, right? That's usually why. So I just allow them to let them know that they're heard. And then after I do that for both of them, another thing that I'll do, one thing that I will add that I do when I talk to them, a lot of times I will point out that truthfully, we all would rather have things be peaceful than be in this heated situation, right? Like you would rather be friends and have none of this happen, right? Maybe like, yeah, of course I wouldn't want them to do that to me. I'm like, okay, good, we're on the same page. All right, let's try to figure this out then, so that we can, get this moving forward. And they'll be like, yeah, okay, so if I can acknowledge in both of them that they want to move forward, that helps. Usually it's the one-on-one that gets them thinking, because it allows them to put all their thoughts out, so they no longer have them like balling up inside, and then they can start thinking clearly. I don't expect to solve it for them, but I can expect to be the person that they can vent to, right? And to help give a couple of positive inputs, positive reinforcements, and positive thinking. Like, by positive thinking, I mean thinking that leads them to a positive direction. Not just, hey, it's okay this happened because this is good thing, right? No, I mean, hey, we can actually move this forward from here, right? That's a lot of times what we need, is to know that we can still move forward. To give that point of view, like, hey, there's a future in mind. What do we want to make of it? When we talk about that to an individual, it helps them start to break things down and go, okay, now what do I do? What's my next step? How do I reconcile this? How do I get with this person and make things better, right? Because ultimately it's up to them. They're the ones that are either going to just let go of it over time, or talk to each other and figure it out, right? But that's my first step, is really just talking to each of them individually, giving some positive reinforcement, giving them that, hey, let's look to the future. What can we do? Then if they're both together and I see they're unhappy, right, I can try to intervene, but never, ever point anyone out for doing anything wrong, right? Because that only makes people feel like you're calling them a bad person, and then that breaks your trust or friendship and stuff like that. It's important to be respectful and to point out the good in each other. So when we're together, it's all about, if there's that confrontation still, right? It's all about enjoying the people that you're with, and letting them know that you enjoy them, that they're a joy to be around, even when they're not, because they're acting silly, right? They're not acting respectful or whatever because of the other individual. Mm-hmm. At some point, it might be time to be like, hey, okay, guys, is obviously you guys are mad at each other. What's going on? I heard your side of the story. You said this is what they did, and I heard your story. Sorry, this is what they did, and then hopefully from that you can kind of navigate it. That's kind of like the last thing you want to do, though. It does work in cases, but that's the one that you hope you don't have to go to, right? Mm-hmm. But it can work. It's not your responsibility to make their friendship work. It's theirs. And they're the ones that suffer from it. Now you suffer as a third party just because you have to put up with them, right? But in the end, it's their mental states. It's their responsibility, right? So if you do have them both in a room and you get to that point where they're arguing, and you can kind of intervene and just settle down and be like, hey, guys, I mean, what you do in that scenario is you side with both of them. And what I mean is you do this. You say, okay, Friend A it seems like friend A is hurt because of this, and this might, and friend B is hurt because of this. And I think that maybe neither of you meant to hurt each other. Is that correct? Right? And they'll be like, yeah, I didn't mean to hurt him. That just kind of happened. Like, I didn't. And it's like, okay. And then usually they can start to talk it out from there. So really the point isn't to point out the flaws. The point is to help them understand each other, right? That's the main point, is to help them understand each other, to understand each other's point of views. It's like, okay, this is what this person is thinking of, and this is what this person is thinking of. And you guys are kind of fighting about two different things. And that happens all the time. Like this happens, like, and that's a good thing to say, like a lot of times is like, I see this all the time with all sorts of different people where we just kind of like fight about two different things. I've seen this in like the Protestant and Catholic church, like they argue with each other and they're arguing the same points. Like they're not listening to each other.
But
so
they're
like
just talking past each other.
Yeah, they're talking past each other, right? And so it's like examples like that can be good to bring up when you're in a debate, because it helps other people to go, okay, I actually have to pay attention. Are we actually trying to say the same thing, but just in different ways? Because sometimes we are. Are we not understanding each other because we are thinking the other person is thinking something that they're not? Calling that to mind can really help move our, fights beyond what they are. But ultimately, knowing that positive reinforcement of, hey, we want to be friends because that's the better state. It's better to be friends than enemies, right? So how do we find out how to get there? And it might just be through an apology, hey, sorry, I really didn't mean to hurt you with that, right? And the other person can be like, yeah, I'm also sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you with what I said either. That I think it was a big misunderstanding, and that's usually what happens. So that's my best advice there. So if you do get caught up in a situation where you have two friends fighting, go to them both individually first, try to get them thinking the right way, let them vent off some steam, and then come at it refreshed and new, because that's usually what does the best in my experiences. But anyways, Joe, what do you have to say on the whole situation?
Well, I think Nathan, if you listen to this, I'm really proud of you for asking this question, and you remind me of my brother, because my brother, when he was in preschool, actually, he was called. The teachers called my mom and said, he's a very aggressive peacemaker. Like, so he's he's super aggressive at, when people are in conflict, he tries to get them to make up, because he wants there to be peace. Like, he always wants peace around, and so like this is a good spot to be in. One of the things that you're going to benefit from going through this experience is you start to understand that there are three sides to every conflict. You've got two people in conflict with each other. There are three sides of that conflict. There's the one person's point of view, there's the other person's point of view, and then there's what actually happened somewhere in the middle, right? Like, and usually, like Ryan was talking about, usually there's some kind of a miscommunication. It's not usually that somebody did something deliberately to hurt the other person. It's usually something got talked about, something happened, maybe somebody screwed up and it hurt somebody's feelings. There's that kind of stuff happens all the time, right? But one of the things that we've talked about is, how important and how powerful forgiveness is for the healing of anybody. And it's, if somebody has wronged you, then in order for you to heal, you must forgive. That's for your healing. That's not for them. That's not to let them off the hook. That's for you to heal inside, right? Their job is to repent. Their job is to, say they're sorry, to actually feel remorse for the situation and try to not do that again. So when there's a situation where someone actually does something wrong, and then something like that's going on, then you can get in, you can go one-on-one with these people like Ryan was talking about. And if you talk to the one friend and and they are the perpetrator. They did something to hurt the other person. Maybe they didn't mean to, but they still did, right? Then you can listen to them like Ryan was talking about, and then maybe throughout that conversation you can encourage them that maybe it'd be good for them to apologize for that, you know. And I remember going through that with two different people, and one of the people, they were like, they were talking about all this stuff, and like, well, and they got hurt by this whole deal and blah 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 blah, and I'm like, well, did you say you're sorry? They're like, well, no, I didn't do anything wrong. And I'm like, well, they got hurt, right? Well, yeah, but I didn't do anything. This is their fault they got hurt. And I'm like, okay, but did you mean to hurt them? Well, no, of course I didn't. I'm like, okay, well, you did hurt them. This, through doing this thing, it hurt them, right? And so, all right, so now if you didn't mean to hurt them, but they were hurt by something you did, but you didn't mean it, then apologizing ought to be easy. Because then you can just say, man, I really didn't mean to do it. It gets harder when you actually meant to hurt them. Then it's like, now you got to swallow like your pride, and you got to do all kinds of stuff. And then there's like some actual real remorse that's going to come in. But if you didn't mean to hurt them, but you did, and it was an accident, that's easy. But so many times we just get caught up in, I'm right, and I can't let myself be wrong ever. So, I mean, it's just kind of how we are. That's one of the reasons why I've, programmed my kids to remember that I'm good at messing things up, because it's a reminder for me that I mess things up. That way I never have to feel like I'm right all the time, because there's always that possibility that I could be wrong. I could be wrong about what I'm talking about right now. You guys are listening to me.
Same.
But yeah, but I love what Ryan's talking about, because if you go to him one-on-one and you just talk to him, one of the things as you are this intermediary person, is to apply that forgiveness in yourself with them all the time. Like, have that grace, when you approach either of them in this conflict, the key is to soften your heart and be that person that they can trust opening up to, and that you're not going to lash out at them. You're not going to belittle them. You're not going to make fun of them, for explaining this situation and talking about it. But instead, you're going to have grace and love, and you're going to accept them no matter what. Even if they did something wrong, you're still going to love them. You're still going to be friends with them. And the same for both sides, right? And then they can still feel comfortable around you. They can still talk to you about it, and then they can open up and talk and figure it out. But a lot of times it's just a matter of perspective. We were dealing with this a little bit at my in-laws' house. My father-in-law is extremely particular about his lawn. He loves mowing lawn. Like, I don't understand one bit.
I don't think that makes sense. I think he's wrong. No, I'm just kidding. It's perspective, I guess.
But anyway, so he loves mowing the lawn. He loves doing it. He loves keeping it nice and beautiful, and he has a very beautiful lawn. I gotta tell you,
I'm sure
it's great. Like, he does all this extra fertilizing and stuff like that, and I'm like, why would you do that? He's like, because it looks so nice. I'm like, yeah, but you gotta mow it every day. Like, he's like, because it grows so fast. And he's like, yeah, but I like mowing it. I'm like, okay, good. Then you got what you love to do then. Good.
Yeah.
But at any rate, so now there's this situation, because they got a new neighbor next door. And this new neighbor, I don't know if he just doesn't know where the property line is, or who knows what's going on, but he's mowing part of my father-in-law's grass. So he's coming over and he's mowing part of it, right? and he's doing something around this tree, and they're like, well, that's clearly on my property, like blah blah blah, right? And it's like he mows his shorter than my father-in-law likes it mowed, right? So he sets his mower shorter, so the grass ends up shorter. And so anyway, long story short, there's this conflict brewing, right? Because he is mowing my lawn, and I'm sitting there in my head, I'm like, I'd be like, thank you. You want to? I can move the line over farther. Like,
yeah, if you want to do it, please, I'd be more than happy to let you mow my lawn. I mean,
right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But if you really want your lawn a specific way, of course.
Exactly. So there's this little bit of a conflict starting to brew, and I'm like, he probably thinks he's being helpful. Either he doesn't know where the property line is, and he's just lost or something, and he just needs to have that pointed out to him, or he thinks he's being helpful, and he thinks like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to do a little bit of my neighbor's lawn just to be nice, right? I'm out here mowing it. I might as well do it. It'll give him less to do, so he won't have to work so hard, and I'll go around this tree for him because, who knows? But I'm sure, I'm positive he's not on his lawnmower thinking, I'm going to get him, I'm going to show him, I'll mow some of his lawn. Like, really? But that's kind of how it's taken.
Yeah.
On my in-laws side of it. They're like, they're taking it as an offense. Like, I'm like, okay, so clearly, I'm sure this isn't like an attack from him, right? You guys don't even hardly know each other.
Yeah. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to ruin his day. I'm going to mow over his lawn this much.
I know, right?
No one does that.
I'm sure that's not the case. So it's like, okay, so probably what needs to happen is, if you just got to talk to him.
Yeah.
You just got to get to know him. And if you don't really know him all that well, then and maybe he doesn't know where the property line is. Maybe you just ask, hey, I noticed that you're kind of getting over on my side of the lawn. Like, do you know what the property line is, or like what's going on? And you can do that in many, many different tactful ways. There are lots of tactful ways to do it. But here's the interesting thing. As you learn, this is a very valuable experience to be the intermediary between two people, because what it does is it opens your eyes to the fact that there are three sides to every conflict. That there's the one person's perspective, the other person's perspective, and then what happened kind of in the middle. And most of the time, there's a miscommunication. Nobody had any ill will toward the other person for the incident. It just, there was a misunderstanding somewhere. Somebody thought they were doing something right, and the other person got offended, or the other person got really hurt by it or whatever. And when you realize that, you start to realize, oh, if I'm in a conflict with another person, which does happen, you can start to understand, I have my point of view here. I wonder what their point of view on this is. And when you can start to think in terms of that, going through this process of being the go-between between two people is going to help you when you have a conflict with another person, because it's going to raise your level of understanding for them and their perspective. So I would highly encourage, if you find yourself in this position still between these two friends, then do exactly what Ryan said. Go and talk to him one-on-one and just let them vent. Let them tell you the whole story. Let them tell you the whole situation. And then when you end up hearing both sides, you'll probably start to notice, aha, here's where the disconnect is. And then you can probably find a tactful way to point that out to the other person and say, I wonder if, it just was a miscommunication. I wonder if something like this just happened and it's just really gotten blown out of proportion. Yeah. And I love what Ryan was saying at the end. Isn't it better to just be friends than to be mad at each other? Isn't it better to have peace? And if that's the case, then yeah, why not open your mind to the thought that a different perspective could be at play. And I'm telling you, you probably won't in that moment, like Ryan was talking about. In the moment, they're not going to be like, oh my gosh, everything's all solved. I can't believe I was so dumb. Like you probably aren't going to get that.
Yeah.
They'll probably say nothing, but their brain will be working.
Yep. Everyone's got their pride,
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a process,
One thing with the
figure that out.
thing, I mean, what Joe said was so true. I mean, I love the story with the lawnmower, because that's so true. I mean, that's kind of how we are. We don't even go over to figure out, hey, how do we solve this? One piece of advice, though, if you ask people, like, wouldn't you rather be friends? That is not your first statement. That's the statement you say after they've vented. Because if you go like, hey, wouldn't you, rather be friends with them? That wouldn't you rather have like peace than this enemy, and so on? They're gonna, most of the time, if you haven't let them vent yet and get their kind of emotions put out, right? They're still on fire inside, and they're like, no, I don't want to be friends with that jerk if he's gonna be like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you let them cool down first, so you kind of let them put their emotions out, and you answer to them kindly, if you let them put their emotions out and you're just like, no, you're wrong, you shouldn't feel angry, what are you doing, right? That only makes them more angry.
Mm-hmm.
But if you accept their emotions, right, they're getting angry, and you're just like, yeah, dude, I would feel angry too if that happened to me, right? I don't know if that's what they meant to do. Maybe it is. We should try to figure that out. But yeah, like, I would be angry too, so I get it. That makes them feel a lot more capable of calming down, at least, right? It really helps them calm down and cool off, because they have someone on their side. And then from there, you take it to the next level of say, okay, so how do we move forward from here? Because then now they actually want to move forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now they don't feel as stubborn. It's a lot easier to get through to them because they don't have this barrier of like a firewall,
Right.
So yeah, it's really, really helpful, but you got to talk to them first before you kind of open up the whole can of worms of like, okay, now where do we move forward from here? Because obviously it would be best if we were all friends again, right? Like, if we had more fun that way, right? We weren't upset and angry. Let's try to figure this out. So yeah, just a word of warning and suggestion, because I've experienced that. I've gone into, I've had friends fight and talk to them about it, and then go to the like, hey, so ultimately, wouldn't you rather be friends with them? And they'd be like, yeah, of course, duh. Like, yeah, I mean, I would rather have peace than anger,
Mm-hmm.
But I've went to friends with the wrong approach. And now, only like 20 years later, do I understand why it was the wrong approach. And that is to open up with, hey, wouldn't you rather have peace? Wouldn't you rather not be mad at them? Wouldn't you rather be friends with them than make an enemy of them, right? If you start with that line, I realize now why that doesn't go very well. And I hadn't had it go very well for me in the past if I open up with that line. It's a line I have to use a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, yeah. Thank you, Joe. That was really good. I like what you had to say.
And that's a huge point you were just making, that you might have to be patient while you're letting them vent. Because I guarantee you're going to want to jump in and say something.
Yeah.
But the whole point of the venting session is to let them blow off their steam. Because once they blow that off, they're going to be in a lot more amicable, easy to deal with position, right? They're gonna be way more receptive to anything you have to say. But until they do, then they're gonna have their fighting posture going, right? They're gonna be all like upset. I remember dealing with that in an inspection, and I remember like this person came out and they were just yelling at me, because I was there doing an inspection at their house, and they were like, this is harassment, blah 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 blah. And then they started asking me questions, and they asked a question, and I was like, so I started to answer their question, and then they would cut me off and blah 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 blah, blah and yell and rant some more, and then ask me another question. And then so I would try to answer that question, and they would cut me off in the middle of my answer, and then blah, 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 and rant and rant and rant. And I was like, I'm just sitting there like, oh, I see what's happening here. They're not actually asking me these questions. From their perspective, these are rhetorical questions. Right?
They think they already know the answer.
Yep. They don't want an answer. They don't want my answer. They just want to vent. And so I'm just going to sit here. And so I'd start to answer, and I was like, okay, if they cut me off, I know they're not done yet. So then I'll just let them keep going, Like,
yeah, it makes you a lot calmer too, to take the scenario and move it to the right direction from there.
Yep. And you just recognize that all of us are in that position sometimes where we got to blow off some steam. Ryan is all the time. I mean,
oh yeah, I'm like a hot fire engine over here. I'm like one of those tow trucks that catches fire every like 3 days because the engine's too hot.
Yep.
Actually, one point that you made that I really, really loved is the fact that when you're caught up and you're helping to solve the problem between two friends or whatever, and you get to a point where you realize, wait a minute, that happens to me. I love that moment, because then at that point you realize you can become far more of a patient person. Like when you encounter a problem with a friend and your immediate response is, wait, maybe I'm thinking about this wrong. Maybe they didn't mean to hurt me. I should give them the benefit of the doubt and try to hear them out and figure out what's going on here to solve this. That is an awesome moment when you realize you have the power to do that, and you have the humility to do that, and you have the patience to do that. It's one of the most refreshing things in the world to come to realize and then experience and do that. But I think a lot of times we only come to start notice we can do that when we notice other people having conflicts and being like, wait a minute, they've got it all wrong. They're not even arguing about the same thing. Like, Yeah. Yep.
But so often we're blinded in our own experiences because we're so caught up in our own, own point of view, and it's just like why I think a lot of the things we do on this show are important. It's not because you don't know this stuff. It's because when we're in the heat of the moment and we're in the middle of a situation, we just don't recognize it. We don't see it because we're so caught up in the emotion and the issue itself. And sometimes having an outside perspective to just look at it and be like, oh, have you noticed that part of it? And it's like, oh my gosh, wait a second. Now that I see that changes everything. It's no longer red. It's blue.
It's blue. I mean,
so at any rate,
yeah,
that's what I got. Did you have anything else on this
Nope,
topic?
That was great. It was a good discussion. I like that.
Okay, cool. Well, Nathan, wherever you are, thank you so much for the topic. And hopefully we get to see you again sometime. But yeah, we got a few people in the chat. Welcome, Sassy Jenna. Welcome, Box of Life. It's good to see you guys.
Jose and Haley are here as well.
Oh yeah. Yes,
of course. Helmer.
Jose and Haley. Welcome, if you're still here.
Yeah, and Haley said she might think she's gonna look in her past and see if there's anything she could give us a topic about, but at this moment she hasn't quite yet. So,
yes.
Which is totally cool. If she can't think of one, it's totally fine. We've got a backlog, so
we got topics. We got We got tacos.
We got rocket tacos.
Taco rockets.
Rocket tacos should be a thing. I don't know what it would be, but a rocket taco sounds good.
It does, doesn't it?
Make it happen, Joe.
Okay. As long as it doesn't have sugar or wheat product.
All right. What was his name? He has a great name.
Igor.
Yes. All right, Igor.
Igor Voitenko. He actually has at least, recently he had the Guinness Book of World Records number of push-ups in 30 seconds.
No way.
Yeah.
Really? So
Voitenko. There's been this back and forth thing going on.
Oh, really? There's people that's awesome. I think that was that's really similar to my friend from Ukraine. His last name. But it was funny because he gave us his last name, and he's like, "Don't worry about it. That's the spelling. Nobody's ever going to be able to pronounce it." So he like never told us how to say it. It was pretty great. We're like, okay, his mysterious last name. It's only ever written, never said.
Well, if it's from over in that part of the world, then it's probably got some interesting letters, like a backwards R and like a yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we got some suggestions. A taco shaped like a rocket, or a rocket made out of taco shells. A taco shell with a rocket pop as the filling. All would be doable.
What about?
Or when you think rocket, could be like extra super spicy.
I was thinking extra super spicy myself.
Mm-hmm.
You could fill a taco with Pop Rocks. You can do it. I'm not saying it's a good idea, by the way. I'm just saying you can.
Possible. For sure.
Yes.
And you know what? You never know if it's good until you try it. Yeah,
that's the way it is. Sometimes you have a pretty strong inkling that it's going to be terrible, but you really have to try it.
Yeah. You know, it's like a peanut butter and Miracle Whip sandwich.
Those are good.
They are good.
Those are good.
So are peanut butter and marshmallow fluff sandwiches.
Yeah, those aren't as good, but they're good.
They're pretty good.
I prefer the Miracle Whip, to be honest. That's because I'm not a big fan of marshmallow fluff. I don't dislike it. I will be honest. It's good, but I don't know. I feel like I'm just eating candy. I don't feel like I'm eating lunch. Actually, that's my problem with peanut butter sandwiches in general. I can't eat peanut butter jelly sandwiches or peanut butter sandwiches for lunch because I feel like I'm not eating lunch. I feel like I'm eating just some candy, and I'm like, this is really not filling, and it's weird. If I'm having a snack, let's just call this a snack. This isn't lunch.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, there are infinite number of combos. You know, I had this buddy one time. We had nothing to eat in the house.
Oh no!
Guys in college, there was nothing to eat in here, right? And we were looking all over the place, and all of a sudden we had a sandwich maker. There was some bread, you know, but there was nothing to make sandwiches out of, you know, and we're like, there's nothing. And so one of my roommates, there were 4 guys living in a house, so go figure, you know, 4 college guys. Of course, there's nothing to eat, like. Because nobody wants to go to the store.
No one wants to go to the store. No one wants to buy anything. But we do want to eat things. Yeah,
that's exactly right. And so, like, all of a sudden, my one roommate shows up in the room. He's got a sandwich on a plate, and we're like, "What? What is that? Like, what are those?
Where'd you get that?"
He's like, "Shut up! It's good." We're like, "Okay." What did you put on that sandwich? And he sits over in this dark corner by himself. He's like Gollum, you know, like, my precious, you know. He's like, shut up, it's good. And we're like, what did you make it out of? Like, seriously, there's nothing to make a sandwich with, but you figured out how you made a sandwich out of something. Is that just bread? You know, made
2 pieces of bread
maker? Yeah, like, he's like, and his only response ever was, shut up, it's good. And he ate the whole thing. And he didn't tell us until finally, like, I don't know, it was like weeks or maybe months later. We were finally like, hey, so what was that sandwich? You know, he's like, it was a grilled mayonnaise and ranch sandwich.
And it wasn't good.
It was not good.
I lied, but I had to eat it.
He kept saying, he's like, I was so hungry.
If anything, he was saying it to himself.
Right?
Shut up, it's good. I like it. Come on, like it. It's good.
It's not good at all.
Trying to get it to, that's hilarious.
Yep.
Mayonnaise and ranch. It's not a sandwich. Hey. I mean, I'm the kind of person that can like everything, but
put it between 2 pieces of bread.
Yeah.
Try it.
A piece of wood. Should be better than that. No.
Probably.
Probably.
Whoa.
Sadly.
A peanut butter and hot sauce sandwich is
Okay,
surprisingly good.
that would be good.
I
I actually
see
would
that.
eat that. That actually sounds good, Sevlev. I'm down with that. I'm just saying, if it's grilled, I'll try it.
What? The peanut butter and hot sauce, or
I think he
the
meant the
mayonnaise and
wood.
ranch? Or the wood.
Oh, maybe the ranch. Maybe the mayonnaise, ranch and mayonnaise. Oh, mayo ranch. Okay. Oh my gosh. Ooh,
Nutella sandwiches.
Nutella is
Nutella's
really
amazing.
good. That is a
like
solid
dessert,
sandwich right there.
Yeah, but it's not lunch.
It's not lunch. No. It's a feast of a snack
and
though.
marshmallow fluff.
They are.
That would be good. Nutella and ranch. Probably not.
No. Probably not. Again, you don't know until you try it, but again, I have a strong inkling that is not good.
That might wreck your Nutella for sure.
That might even wreck the Nutella, yes. Oh. Okay.
All right, what do you say? What do we do?
Yeah.
We say we do another topic. Right.
I think that's a good idea.
So we've got another one. We're going through our backlog tonight. If anybody has any topics they'd like us to talk about, it's a good thing you already ate dinner. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, we're going through our backlog of topics. The next one up is from Sunryusuke.
Yeah, and if you're new here, feel free, if you have anything you guys want us to talk about, please put in the chat. Any issues or worries or things that you're just like that are on your mind, you're like, hey, I gotta get a different perspective on this type of thing. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Feel free to share.
Absolutely.
No one's gonna judge you.
You can feel free to post it in the chat. We just want to love you and be your friend.
Yep. Whatever you feel like, oh, they'll judge me if I say this. Someone's probably already put something weirder down, so don't worry about it.
Yep.
Anyways, I'm gonna let you get to your topic then.
All right. This is from Sunryusuke. It's called Self-Esteem Tips. And we got a link. Oh, well, now Box of Life has a topic in the chat.
Oh.
So then what do we do?
How do you
I say we jump to that one.
Yeah. How do you deal with conflict inflicted against you? I really like that. Could you give us an example?
Yeah.
I think that would help.
I deal with conflict inflicted against me on a fairly regular basis, being a property inspector for mortgage companies. That generally lends itself to situations of conflict. So there, I've tried many different ways of dealing with that. Now, are you talking about, and another thing too, if you want to expound, are you talking about dealing with it inside you or dealing with it with the other person or what? Maybe if you want to expound on any of that stuff, we can, or we'll just try and talk about the whole sphere of it.
The genre.
Yes, the entire thing. So Ryan has a much better way of dealing with it than I did. I had to learn for years the hard way, and Ryan just has this natural.
I was blessed.
He's kind of like this angel, right?
Oh,
like he just, he's bulletproof and he can fly and stuff.
Yeah, I'm essentially Superman now. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for revealing my identity.
He jumps over buildings. And
okay, we do have
the trees.
An example. In 7th grade, I had a misunderstanding with my president. In return, she made everyone in the class hate me in one way or another. We were close friends. So someone is, in this situation, they are slandering your name. They're forcing everyone else in one way or another to dislike you. That's a rough one. I remember that happening to me in like 4th grade or something like that too, with a kid. I didn't even know him. We weren't friends. I was friends with like everybody, but this one kid, he happened to be cuter than me, and apparently, and so all the girls really liked him, and all of the guys also were his friend. And then I think he saw me as like target. I tried to play with him one day, and he was like, competition or something. Anyways, I tried to play with him one day, and he was like, "You're gross. Get away, and you can never come around me again." And like he said it so that everyone could hear it, and I was like, "What's okay? See you later, dude." And so I left. And then from then on, there was actually, believe it or not, even though that kid did the rude thing, a lot of people didn't like me anymore. It was weird. I was like, okay, society is a weird place.
Mm-hmm.
That was like one of my first experiences with social interactions in popularity contests and stuff like that, and it was weird.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, yeah. I mean, if people come to you and they just don't like you for whatever reason, right? It's not no fault of your own. Now I'm getting some lighting going on
That's the
from
angelic,
the third parties.
it's like
Yeah, that's what you were talking about. That's the angel ness coming out.
yes.
Okay.
You're so shiny.
Yeah,
Shiny,
this
happy
isn't light
people.
this isn't the light that's actually hitting me. It's my forehead shining bright light towards everything else.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
way the shadows work. You can.
And it hits everything around you, even behind you.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's that bright.
Yeah, it's
I'm surprised the
astounding.
camera isn't just completely destroyed.
Yeah, it's about to explode. I'm sure.
I'm sure it is. All right, I'm gonna you talk for a second. I'm gonna go turn that light off.
Okay. Well, I definitely understand.
All right, now shut up. Okay, so I'm just kidding, dude. Sorry. So these are examples of when someone doesn't like you because sorry, go on, Joe. What were you gonna say?
Well, there's some more here. I tried to tie the misunderstanding, but she wouldn't talk to me for 3 months, me feeling in despair and feeling guilty. So yeah, it's a tough thing. One of the things, I mean, sometimes you can only do what you can do, and understand inside you that you know the truth of what happened, and you know the truth of your reconciliation and what you're trying to do, and as far as you're going, if you've done what you can and they are, they're still having an issue there, at that point sometimes it can help to understand that, you know what, this is now their pain that they're dealing with, and I can feel bad for them that they're still going through this pain. I can try to do whatever I can, but sometimes I have to just stand back at a distance and pray for them and hope that, they can heal through this process. Because if you've repented, if you've, tried to make up for anything that you've done wrong, and you've in your heart forgiven them for what they're doing, that's another thing too. We talk about that a lot, is the beauty of forgiveness. Obviously there's some things wrong here, like if she's making everyone in the class hate you, that's not right. If there's a misunderstanding between two people, that's where it should stay, right? And it should be worked out between them. And if somebody needs to come in, like we had talked on the last topic, if an intermediary needs to come in to help out, then that's one thing. But to go around and spread gossip and rumors and all kinds of stuff to do that, I mean, that is definitely a wrong thing. And that's something that you can forgive and heal from, and you will feel better inside when you do that. It doesn't change the fact that what she did was wrong. It doesn't change that. That's still wrong. And this isn't always easy. It's not always easy to forgive, for sure. But the healing that you will experience as a result is absolutely worth it. So I just want to throw that in there. And then Ryan, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, no, and Joe, you're absolutely right. I mean, that can be really hard too, especially if it's fresh, right? Or if it's continuing, if it's still going on, it can be hard to forgive people. So yeah, I think the way around that is recognizing that we're all human. We all do stupid stuff, and sometimes we get carried away. I know that in my personal experiences, like being angry with something, I know I've taken it to the next level and then the next level and the next level. And I'm so deep where I'm like, I realize I've done a bunch of wrong things, but the pride in me wants something good to come out of it. Like something, I want it to be justified so that I don't feel that bad. And so I keep on taking it to the next level and the next level, waiting for myself to be justified, right? Waiting for everything I did bad to turn out good. And I've been down that road. I think we all go down that road at some point. And recognizing that we have done that, where we've done something bad and then we just do something worse instead of trying to fix it or owning up to it, right? Recognizing that we are all capable of that really helps me a lot of times to go, okay, this person is just a person. They're just a human being. They're just an animal, right? Just like we're all animals, right? And if anything, they need help. They need my prayer. So they need me to understand that they're in a weak spot in their life. They are currently experiencing a weak moment where they've given into the darkness. They've given into this bad side of themselves. They're trying to make the evil side work for them in their heart, and it's just not coming through. No matter how evil they are, they can't prove to themselves that evil is good, right? We've all been through that. It's like it's a struggle. And so when we experience that, we don't like it. We don't like ourselves. We're trying to like ourselves, but that's the hard part, and it's not coming through. And so we continue doing the bad things. They're at a weak moment. And so we can understand that and say, okay, they're experiencing weakness, and this is something they need help with. That desire changes my complete look on the whole thing. To give them that desire, give them that love, like, hey, I want what's best for you, even if you don't understand how to get there, and you are clearly not acting well, and you're not going to listen to me, right? The thing is, I still want what's best for you. And in that, I'm willing to forgive what you've done in hopes that you and I can rekindle our friendship so that I can help you to make this better. So that I can come to you and say, hey, look, I knew you, I understood you were weak, and that's fine because I've been weak like that before too. So now we can be friends again and make this work out. Because I would rather, again, be friends with you than enemies. I would rather us enjoy each other than despise each other. Because life is better when we enjoy life and enjoy each other, right? So if you can think about that kind of stuff, forgiveness comes a lot easier. So when someone wrongs you, and clearly in this situation, and then they go a step further and make everybody else dislike you, I think that having that perspective on them of that pity, and remember, pity isn't an evil thing. A lot of times we think pity is a bad thing because people are like, oh, don't pity me. There's nothing wrong with pity. Pity is a beautiful thing. Pity means you care about them. You're not looking down on them. You're looking at what they are and wishing, or looking what they're going through and wishing better for them. That's what pity is. So that is a beautiful thing. It's a really charitable thing. It's a humble thing. It's a loving thing to have pity on somebody. So have pity on them, have mercy on them, and then forgiveness will come, and that will direct the way that you have conversations with her and everybody else. And the reason I start there is because, one, Joe was talking about that, but two, that lines up with your question exactly. How do we deal with conflict inflicted against us? When Joe was talking about, when he does inspections, he goes to a house, and once in a while, some of these people get really angry, right? He's taking pictures of their house. They don't know why. They come forward and they're like, hey, why are you taking pictures of my house? Let me go get my shotgun, And this happened to me. I used to be an inspector, right? And the same things would happen to me. They'd be like, hey, what are you taking pictures of my house for? And you would tell them, hey, I'm just taking pictures for the mortgage company, because that's what they asked me to do. And they're like, oh, the mortgage company? Oh, yeah. No, I hate them. So therefore I hate you, basically. And they get really aggressive. I've had people give me threats and stuff like that. And Joe has too. And so
yeah, just Thursday, as a matter of fact.
Oh yeah? Yeah. Same old.
Yep.
What you do, it's amazing. It's amazing to deal with these people, because you would not believe how angry they can be. And then just like that, they're fine. And it's all about you. It's all about your body language and the words that you say or don't say. So when I encounter somebody who's hostile, when I encounter somebody who doesn't like me for whatever reason, right? The first thing is just remaining calm, just remaining respectful and listening. Like if I'm calm, I go up to somebody, I walk up to somebody's house, they're already angry at me. I see them. I don't stop walking forward, but I walk forward at a normal pace, relaxed, right? And I don't speak until I'm close to them. If I do, it's, hey, hold on, I'm coming to you, in a friendly voice. And the reason is because if I'm shouting across the driveway at them, that doesn't make them feel at peace, right? But if I can get close to them and have a nice, calm conversation, even if they're screaming at me, and I just remain, yeah, I totally understand that. Like, if I was in your shoes, I'd be really angry too. Or, a lot of times I would be like, yeah, I don't really care for the mortgage company either. I have to take pictures because that's what they asked me to do. So like, to be honest, it sounds like they're like, sometimes they would explain their situations to me, right? And it'd be really aggressive at first. But as soon as I kind of took their side, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds really rough, man. And they'd be like, yeah, it is. This is going on in my life. This is going on in my life. And the only reason I can't pay this is because, I just had these doctor bills, these medical things line up, and it just like my wife and all this stuff. Like, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds really rough. I'm so sorry. And in this case, I totally side with you, man. The mortgage company has no right to be like on your case about this. They're just clearly not listening to you. And they go, yeah, thanks, man. You've been, I really appreciate that. And then they really like, it's like all of a sudden we're having this moment, like, and we like each other. Mm-hmm. And it came from them allowing them to speak their mind. Mm-hmm. And me being calm with both my voice, my pleasant kindness, right? Being pleasant, and also just my body language. So here's the thing. I remember I was approached by a cop once. And the cop came to, like, someone called the cops on me because I was at their house. And the cops came over and they basically interviewed me, if you want to say. They didn't like interrogate me, really. They just kind of came up and asked me a few questions. And immediately the cop knew that I was not doing anything wrong. And before we even had a conversation, at the end of it, the cop said, I have to hand it to you. Your body language is really good. I knew from the moment that when I saw you, you did nothing wrong. You have a very good posture. And she said to me, a lot of times when I encounter people who have done something wrong, they have a defensive posture. Their posture is that of someone like that's expecting to get punched. Mm-hmm. They're waiting they're like standoffish, right? If you can remain like, here's a good example of like, if you are like this to somebody and you're talking to them with your shoulder to the side, it's standoffish. It means you're kind of in a defensive posture, right? If you are flat facing them, like you could get a punched easily in any position. Your feet are flat on the ground. You're not like in a defensive posture at all. You're clearly making yourself vulnerable to them, right? They'll know immediately you're not a threat to them because you're not being defensive, right? And so when you encounter people, it's a lot easier if they're aggressive, if they don't like you for whatever reason, you have a good posture just by remaining vulnerable to them. And they will be a lot quicker. Now that's body language, but also what you talk about, how you speak. You can even say, yeah, I had this misunderstanding with them, right? And now they don't like me. So I'm trying to get it to work out. But yeah, sorry, please don't hate me, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Having honest conversations with people who are your enemies make them into friends. Because it's that honesty that breaks the barriers of that wall. And that wall is what's keeping us, away from being friends. You put up walls because you're worried about how people see you, right? You put up walls because you don't want to get hurt again. But if you allow those walls to be knocked down, you start making friends really easy. And then your enemies become friends because they see you not as somebody who's pushing them away with walls. They see you as someone who's actually trying to get into their life and become friends with them. Someone who they can trust because this person who they're trusting has no walls, nothing to hide, including their own faults. right? Like, yeah, I did do that, and I'm so sorry, but I know now, but I won't ever do it again, right? That was stupid of me. I mean, talking about your problems can actually make friends, believe it or not. Um, but not like in a. I don't mean to say like being negative Nancy. I'm just mean being open and honest. But those are some examples. Now, I notice you said quite a few more things here, Box of Life, but I'm going to give it over to Joe, and in case he wants to talk about those things.
Yeah, I did. I was gonna read some of this stuff. Up above a little ways,
Mhm.
Box of Life says, in a way, I feel like I grew from that environment and gained the ability to understand better. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Going through experiences like this helps us to grow. That's one thing, we talk about being an inspector and dealing with hostile situations and stuff like that. That helped me grow in my ability to understand people, to be confident in myself, going through those experiences. All of that can help you to grow.
Absolutely.
And so these experiences, even though sometimes they're painful, they're also valuable. And you can take great courage in knowing that when you go through a struggle like this, it's like exercising. It's just going to make you stronger if you approach it the right way. Now, if you approach it in a way that you really, it all kind of hinges on forgiveness. If you don't forgive and you stay angry and hold a grudge, what happens is you turn inward into yourself and you become like you kind of sour inside, and you tend more toward depression, you tend more toward you know just feeling bad about life in general. And so that's what happens when we don't forgive. But when we do and we let go and we're just like, okay, I forgive them, yes, that was wrong, but I forgive them. And then you're free from it. That frees you from the experience. It frees you from that uh offense, I guess, right? Now, I see a little bit later here you say she started responding to my existence on January 2020. By this time, I didn't want to reconcile. I knew it wasn't the best feeling to obtain, but I kept it because it was from that of being neglected. In all honesty, I did not become hostile to her. I promised myself I wouldn't mute other people like what she did to me. That is so good. I'm so glad that you did not go and turn other people against her. You didn't go talk about her and gossip and do all kinds of stuff like that. That is awesome, because that that just I don't understand what people think good they're going to get from something like that. Because really, everybody who, okay, if I go around, if Ryan, if I went to you and I was telling you some really bad stuff about people to get you to not like them and to try and get you to be on my side, how would you feel about me and how would you trust me as your friend?
Right. Yeah, that would be an immediate, for me, problem, because I would immediately start to think of you as a person who might talk about me like that,
Exactly.
or also someone who can't appreciate other people and see beyond their flaws.
Hmm.
That's actually also something that I have. I have flaws, so how could
Sure.
I expect to have a good relationship with you if you can't see beyond my flaws, right?
Sure.
So,
So in essence, even though like it may seem like at the surface level, what she's done is gone around and turned a whole bunch of people against you and rallied a whole bunch of people to her side, what she's actually done is she's damaged her own relationships with all of these people that she did that with, because she's just put little cracks in the trust
right.
where she's like, she's said these bad things about another person, and it's like, okay, now now that friend is thinking, well, how long is it going to be till I do something wrong? And then she goes around and does that same thing about me, and so with every friendship, she's done that. Everywhere she went and turned someone against you, she put a crack in that trust with that person. And relationships are built on trust.
Mm-hmm.
And we thrive on it. We have to be able to trust each other in order to have a functioning relationship. And so what happens is, when she goes around and does that kind of stuff, it really hurts her more than anything. And that's something like Ryan was talking about, to pity, to feel bad for her for. It's like, man, I just feel so bad that you're in that state, that you feel like that was appropriate. I'm so sorry for whatever I did that made you, feel like you needed to do that. Man, that's just going to make things more difficult for you in the future. And you don't have to say this out loud to them. You don't have to go and confront them. And sometimes what you're doing could be the exact right and appropriate thing to keep your distance. Sometimes that's what needs to happen. Because even if she's acknowledging your existence now, she's responding to your presence, like, yeah, I can understand the desire to be a little bit guarded and to be like, okay, are we going to go down this road again? Are we going to go down this roller coaster pathway like that we just went down? I don't think I'm ready for that. I'm fine with, I understand whatever we did, the past is in the past, but I'm not ready to just jump both feet in right away with this, because, seriously, it's like if you had a friend who was always stealing your money, if you hung out with them, you'd lock up your money,
Yeah.
You wouldn't like leave your money laying around. So, it's a similar type of thing. So gradually, if you can gradually get to the point where you guys can be friends and buddies again, I mean, great. But if not, that's okay too. All I want to do is make sure that inside you're looking at your own heart. And if you're holding a bunch of stuff against her still, then the way to heal from that is to forgive. And but you don't have to forget. You don't have to be like, okay, and then just like let go of everything and be like, hey, we're all good now, because that can set you up again to be trampled and all that kind of stuff. It can experience it all over again. And not only is that not good for you because it hurts you, but it's also not good for her. It's not good for any of us to treat another person badly. See, a lot of times we don't consider that side of it, right? When we get hurt by another person, a lot of times we're too busy dealing with our own feelings to think about the other person and what's good or bad for them. And rightfully so, because sometimes it throws us all off and we got a whole bunch of stuff to deal with inside. And yeah, it's really, that's a full-time job. But it happens especially when you see two people conflicting and you're not involved in it. You see how bad it is for that person to treat another person badly. It doesn't help them at all. It makes them think that bad behavior is a good thing. And do you know what that sets them up for the rest of their life? To think they can get away with nonsense. And eventually it's going to come crashing down around them, because the world's not going to accept that forever. And it's amazing to watch. But when somebody's behaving poorly, it's I can't remember the exact words, but I remember a priest telling me one time, when someone's behaving badly, it doesn't do them any good to not acknowledge it and to not point out, hey, that's wrong. Now, you have to be the right person in order to do that. You have to have the right type of relationship with a person in order to actually have it be effective.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't do anybody any favors when we just, let their bad behavior run amok.
All right, let them get away with it.
Exactly. They just get in the habit of doing it and doing it and doing it, and it just makes their life more difficult. And that's going to happen here. Box of Life says, I want to never forget because I believe I can salvage any experience to my advantage or new information that I can use for the better. That's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. And yes, if you can salvage an experience to your advantage, and I'm telling you, you can, because, you know, it happens all the time. We see bad things happen and great, wonderful things come out of it. We've got this crazy time of racial tension and division going on right now. We've got all this stuff going on. And the stuff that some of the stuff that's happened is absolutely horrendous. The spark that made it happen was horrible and horrifying and should never have happened. And I hope that out of all this crazy turmoil, we can finally get to a point where, okay, sorry, I must use my disclaimer. I'm sorry. I'm going to soapbox for a minute. I hope we can actually get to the point of what Martin Luther King Jr. talked about when he said, I have a dream that the color of someone's skin will not determine what somebody else thinks of them. That's a paraphrase, obviously. It's not a quote. But it will be the content of their character that we look at and not skin color. Because we are all people, all of us. And I hope that through this crazy turmoil, we are able to look at each other as people and not even notice what color somebody's skin is, and just look at them as a fellow human being, that someone with infinite dignity that we can love and we can respect. And there, my soapbox is off. But at any rate, yes, you can take any situation, turn it to your advantage, turn it to a growing experience, a learning and strengthening experience, especially the painful ones.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan actually taught me a lot about doing that, so I appreciate him. I'm going to turn it back to him and let you go for some longer time, Ryan.
Oh, I don't really have a whole lot more to say. Though, yeah, I mean, I really appreciate what you said about Box of Life. I mean, that's so true. Just like Joe was saying, your pain is not bad. It's bad if you don't do anything with it, I suppose. But we label things bad so quickly before we come to realize, hey, you know what? This is actually a good thing. I can take this experience and make it something beautiful. You know, sacrifice is a good thing. It's a production of beautiful and sacred things, but it requires pain. Pain isn't bad. It's just, you know, something that we go through to prove the value of something, right? Everything has a cost. And without the concept of pain, there is no cost and there's no value that we can associate with. The value is still there, but we can't understand it. It's not identifiable. A lot of times we can identify the cost of something through the pain that we experience. And I think that's a good way to look at our problems. You know, when you have this conflict with people that you don't even know, they just don't like you because of something someone else said, you know, there is that pain there because that's a whole human life that doesn't like you for whatever reason. And it feels bad also because we're getting attacked. And no one likes that, of course, right? But it helps us identify, hey, this is funny because a lot of times people end up recoiling into themselves and disliking themselves. And that's the opposite of what they should be doing because the pain is telling them something different. When you experience pain because someone says something you don't like about you, right? Someone points out a flaw or whatever and you don't like it, it's painful. You know why that's painful? It's because you understand in your heart that you are valuable, that you're a beautiful thing. And so it hurts when it's compromised. You're a beautiful creation and it hurts when you're being looked down upon because you don't deserve that. No one deserves that. Even if, yeah, maybe you did a lot of bad things, right? Yes, there's a such thing as justice. There's a such thing as making sure someone stops doing bad things and all that kind of stuff, right? But when it comes to, you know, the situations like this, it's like, it doesn't do anyone good to hate somebody else just because of things they've done. Because hating someone is desiring the worst for them and then acting towards that, right? If love is desiring the best for someone and acting towards that, helping someone receive the best, that sort of thing, helping someone go forward in life, being the person that's encouraging them, that's love, right? That's desiring the best for someone. And hating someone is desiring the worst for them, right? And then acting that out. So therefore, being mean to them, trying to encourage the bad sides of them to be brought out more, right? That's different. So it's kind of interesting. We see, you can get arrested, right, for doing bad things. And that makes sense because they're trying to stop you from doing bad things. They're trying to actually help you, believe it or not, right? They're trying to help you and society by stopping you from yourself, right? And then alternatively, you have things that are, you have injustice, those things which we call revenge. See, revenge is often confused with justice. Well, he hurt me, so I get to hurt him back. That's not how it works. That's hate, right? That's he hurt me, so therefore I don't like him, so therefore I want the worst of him, so therefore I'm going to act that out. It's funny because when we do evil things to people, it encourages evil activity, right? And so therefore it actually, you are causing them to become worse people when you do bad things to them. Unless they have the insight and wisdom to look into that thing and reap wisdom and greatness out of the bad and shortcomings that they have experienced, out of that pain, which is exactly what Box of Life was talking about. When you go through something painful, even though someone else did it to you, you can go and you can remember that and look at it throughout your life and reap beautiful, things out of that, and use it as good things instead of bad things. Because you can take that pain and it doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to, a lot of times I would say evil begets evil and good begets good. But there are times when even evil can get good. Even evil can create good if you have the mind to do so and you have the power within you to do so. And we all do, but we have to kind of make sure that we're doing that. Otherwise, if we don't, we'll just go with the flow of things and natural things will happen. And in that case, bad scenarios, evil will beget evil, right? We will create more evil out of evil. So we have to have a mind that can notice that sort of thing. And that's what I appreciate about what Box of Life said is, he has that mind to notice those things, to put an end to those cycles and create something good out of what's bad. And that's a beautiful thing. Oh my gosh. But yeah. So with that, I'm going to give it back over to Joe. Maybe he wants to continue the next topic or has some more to say. I don't know.
Well, I do have to say, here's one more thing. Here's a little funny light. Using a surge of vengeance, I studied for my math midterm exam and ended up getting 3 to 4 mistakes out of 60. She's normally the top scorer. Mwahaha. That is a great dynamic to reflect on too, that sometimes we can use a negative experience like that and it can motivate us to excel. I'm sure I know that has happened to me many times. I have found a painful experience in my life and I've used it as energy, just like this, where it's like it caused me to work hard, it caused me to try hard, it caused me to excel. I'm like, you know what, doggone it, this happened and I am not going to let that happen again. So I'm going to work extra hard. So what happened is you gained virtue through hard work and excellence. As a result, that's already taken this and turned it to something good. Even if I know sometimes it's like, because I want to get a better score than them, even that, we do that all the time in competition. I was on the swim team. We did that all the time. I'm going to work extra hard so I can be faster than that other guy. Right. And so we would compete with each other. Now, sometimes it's healthy. Sometimes it's kind of questionable.
Yep. Can be.
But if the cool thing is the results that came here were good. and healthy, that you use that as energy to cause you to do something good and to be excellent at something. So I'm really proud of you. And I think you got a good solid thought process going on with this whole thing. So I'm really impressed.
Me too.
But yeah, we're at that point where we got, it's like 10 to 11.
Oh,
So
well, did we start late?
We
started
did
10 minutes
start a little
late.
bit late, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You probably have inspections to do, don't you?
I have lots of inspections to do and
More
double
work.
cup of Joe in the morning.
Oh yeah, and double cup of Joe in the morning. Yep.
So
understood.
we will try to start these shows closer to 9.
You can blame me if you want.
And
I'm not saying it's my fault. I'm just saying you can blame me if you want.
But at any rate, and if you guys have any topics, feel free. Post them at you can email us. You can also send them to bss.studio. I just didn't want to get into another one and have it go till 11:30.
Yeah, nope, I get it. Because that's what we do.
Yep. So, because I know once we start, man.
Once we start, we'll continue it, and then it will be like, wow, it's 12 o'clock. What happened?
Yep. There will come a day when I no longer have to do inspections.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
But you'll still have double cup of Joe in the morning.
Maybe. That's
Maybe.
if we continue doing it live, which we might. We might turn it into a podcast and then stream the recording of the podcast so that you all can join us, and we might do that at different times.
Huh.
I don't know, we've talked. Yeah. So there might be a way to kind of incorporate both, but we definitely, that show is designed to start being a podcast. But
yeah, the original setup for that show is to be a podcast. So yeah.
Oh, don't worry about soaking up the time. Thank you for the topic.
24-hour don't worry a thing. Like, hey,
are you guys gonna be with us that whole 24 hours?
Yeah, if you guys want to be here for 24 hours straight with us, I mean, you guys can put on the show. I mean, you guys are smart enough. You guys know what's going on.
Yeah.
Actually, that's something that would be really cool, is to put people in our positions, because it would force people to go, okay, that sounds tough. How do I put a positive light on that? And then it'll get them to think positively about every situation in life. That is slick. That's slick human programming right there. We need to do that.
All right. We'll column G it for the meeting.
All right, column G it. Let's throw it in column G. It's the mess that we have. Yeah. We have meetings every week, and we have a column G, and that's where we put like all of the random stuff.
Yep. If someone has a random thought about something we might want to do, it goes in column G.
Clutter management.
Yep.
Column G.
Yes. But so at any rate, thank you guys so much. Oh, did Haley have a topic?
She said, yeah, I know she did. She had one that she was working on. I don't know if she finished it.
Okay. I didn't see anything.
I know that she was going to give it over to Princess.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Princess posted it or anything.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything yet. But
oh yeah, it's there.
We were in there talking. So sorry.
Yeah, I see it.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Oh my gosh, Haley, I'm so sorry. I love you. You know I love you. Ryan does too.
Yeah. Well, duh. I mean, of course, she's so lovable. So how could you not?
Yeah.
Haley's amazing.
And
amazing
human
being.
She's the 3,000%er.
Yeah, it's not really a pressing thing, so that's good. So whenever, Haley, we expect you'll be back. Whenever you make it, we know that you come when you can, and we appreciate you for being here when you are. We love you, and so whenever you're back next time, we can do your topic.
Yep. So at any rate, love you guys so much. Thanks for being here. Come back on Wednesday. We will do this again for Don't Worry Wednesday, and yeah, we will be taking your topics from the chat or going through some old ones. Either way, it's going to be a good time, and we're going to have fun, and we're going to love you. So thank you guys so much for being here. Come back if you want to. Come tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. for the Double Cup of Joe show, where I and Joe Bohan will be talking about what are we talking? We're talking about patience. And tomorrow is especially important because we're talking about having patience with yourself.
That is a
Because
tough one for people.
you know all your little flaws. I know all my little flaws. You thought I was going to say, I know all your little flaws, but I don't know yours. I just know mine.
That makes me happy.
Yes. And to be patient with yourself is quite difficult and sometimes crazy. So
same.
We're going to have fun. But at any rate, come back tomorrow and we'll see you guys whenever you come join us. Until then, have a great time.
Yep. Oh, we do these on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the same time. So if you guys didn't know that, this is when Don't Worry Wednesday happens. But again, if you can, make it double cup of Joe in the mornings. Oh man, it's a great show. So, yep.
Ooh, 6 a.m., 3 a.m. for you. Wow.
Yeah,
that'd be early.
You can do it. No, just kidding.
If you stay up one night really, really late, maybe you'll see us.
Yeah. All right. Love you guys. Thanks for joining. See you later.
See you next time.
Bye. Peace.
Love you guys.